I want you to take a deep breath with me for a moment and imagine we are sitting together on a porch, watching the sunset, talking about the one person who has changed every fiber of our being, Jesus. Oh, what a joy it is to walk with him. You know, I've spent years, and I mean years, buried in the Word, praying until my knees were sore, and just basking in the sheer wonder of his love. But recently, friends, I stumbled upon something while researching the ancient surroundings of his final nights that absolutely set my soul on fire with a kind of holy curiosity I haven't felt in decades. Wow! It was like a veil I didn't even know existed suddenly started to thin. Have you ever felt like there was a frequency to your prayer life that you just couldn't quite tune into, even though you love him with all your heart? I started looking into the Gnostic texts, those ancient scrolls found in the Egyptian desert that the world tried to hide for 2,000 years. And I found a perspective on Jesus that makes him even more heroic, even more of a liberator than I ever dared to dream. It's about that night in Gethsemane. We all know the story of the sweat like drops of blood and the betrayal of Judas. But imagine if, in those shadows, Jesus wasn't just bracing for the cross, but was delivering a final, secret masterclass to his inner circle about the very language of the universe. He spoke of things called archons. Now, don't let that word spook you. It's just a term for the rulers of the darkness of this world that Paul talked about in Ephesians. My goodness, when I realized that Jesus was actually warning us about how these spiritual forces try to hijack our very breath and our very words to keep us from feeling the full weight of our divinity in Him, I nearly dropped my Bible. It was a total aha moment. It makes so much sense why sometimes, despite our greatest faith, we feel a strange ceiling over our spirits. I'm telling you, this discovery is a game changer for anyone who wants to hear the true, unvarnished heartbeat of the Master. It's about a spiritual architecture that was built around us to make us feel like servants when Jesus specifically called us his friends. Think about that. The creator of the stars wants you to stand tall, not just kneel in the dust. My heart is pounding just thinking about how much he loves us to give us these clues. If you're feeling that little tug in your chest right now, that holy goosebump feeling, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. We are a community of seekers, and I don't want you to miss a single second of this journey because what I found out about the specific words we've been told to use is going to shift the atmosphere of your home tonight. Seriously, stay with me because we're about to pull back the curtain on a cosmic mystery that has been hiding in plain sight in our hymnals and our pews for generations. It's a joyous day to finally wake up to the full truth of his message. Now, let's go deeper into the rabbit hole, and I promise you, the view from the bottom is breathtaking. As I continued my research, I began to see a pattern in how we are taught to speak to the divine, and it led me to a startling realization about the demiurge. In the ancient texts, this is described as a fractured consciousness, a system of frequency managers that wants to keep our divine sparks, that beautiful piece of God inside you, trapped in a cycle of feeling small. Goodness gracious. When I looked at the history of how the early church councils selected which books stayed and which went, I saw a deliberate attempt to quiet the loudest parts of Jesus' message of absolute sovereignty. These archons don't want you to know that you are a participant in the divine nature. They want you to believe you are a hostage waiting for a negotiation. Think about the words we use every single day in the most famous cathedrals and the smallest country churches. I started analyzing the vibrations of words like unworthy and Lord. Now, wait, I know what you're thinking. Lord is a title of respect, right? But as I dug into the linguistics, I realized that Lord implies a master-slave dialectic. Does the Jesus who washed the feet of his disciples really want you to address him as a feudal tyrant? No, he wants a union of spirits. Oh, the irony is just incredible. We've been handed a vocabulary of begging by systems that benefit from us staying dependent. I even looked into some of the most famous sermons by the great reformers and even modern day priests, and you can hear it this constant reinforcement that we are wretched worms. But Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is within you. My friends, a worm doesn't carry the kingdom of heaven. A son or daughter of the Most High does. I remember sitting in a cathedral in Europe once, looking at the towering gold and the heavy stone, and I felt so small, so insignificant. I realize now that was the Archon architecture at work, designed to make the human spirit feel like an ant. But then I remembered Jesus in the fields, talking to the lilies, telling us that we are worth more than all of them. What a contrast. It's a thrill to realize that the forgiveness model we've been sold, where we sin, beg, feel better, and repeat, is actually a way to siphon our spiritual energy into a loop of guilt. Imagine breaking that loop tonight. Imagine if you never had to ask for mercy again because you realize that the source of all life doesn't deal in punishment, but in infinite expansion. It's almost scandalous, isn't it? But it's the most beautiful scandal in history. If this is blowing your mind like it did mine, please share this with someone who needs to be set free from the weight of religious guilt. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're following the channel because we are dismantling the prison walls brick by brick here. I've been through the dark nights of the soul where I felt like God was a billion miles away, and I realized it was because I was using the Archon's dictionary to call him. But the moment I changed my frequency, the moment I stopped saying I was unworthy, the room literally felt brighter. I'm not kidding. It's like the feeding tubes of those negative spiritual entities just snapped off because I no longer gave them the shame they feed on. We are standing on the edge of a new reformation, one that happens inside your own heart, and I am so honored to be sharing these secrets with you. The chosen ones are gathering, and you are clearly one of them. We have traveled a long way together in this conversation, from the shadows of Gethsemane to the hidden mechanisms of the Archon's cage. But here is where the sun truly breaks over the horizon. Jesus didn't just come to point out the prison. He came to show us that the doors were never actually locked. We were just convinced to keep our eyes closed. It is so incredibly liberating to realize that the 6 words of the Archon system, unworthy, Lord, forgive, mercy, save, and obey, can be traded in for the recognition words of a sovereign being. Wow, just saying that out loud makes my chest feel like it's expanding. Instead of saying, save me, which implies you're a victim, you can say, I remember who I am. Instead of obey, which is the language of a servant, you say, I am sovereign, which is the language of a co-heir with Christ. I've started doing this little ritual before I sleep, and I want to invite you into it tonight. I sit in the stillness, put my hand over my heart where that divine spark lives, and I simply declare my independence from any system that requires me to be small to be holy. It is the most joyful, electric feeling. You realize that the monad, the true source, the Father that Jesus spoke of, isn't a judge on a throne. He is the very awareness looking through your eyes right now. We are the hands and feet of the divine, exploring this material world. When you stop feeding the Archons your shame, your energy starts to accumulate. You start to see the world with Christ vision, where everything is sacred and nothing is separate. It's a masterpiece of a life that he's called us to. You know, the Gospel of Thomas says that when you find what is within you, what you have will save you. It's not about an external rescue, it's about an internal awakening. That is the ultimate good news. I am so filled with hope for you as you begin to strip away these old heavy words from your vocabulary. You're going to find that your prayers aren't exhausting anymore. They're invigorating. You're going to find that the invisible ceiling you used to hit is gone. Poof, just like that. Because you are no longer speaking the language of the prison. You are singing the song of the free. Thank you for being here with me tonight. This wasn't just a video. This was an activation. If you felt that shift, if you felt that warmth in your chest, please comment, I am sovereign below. Let the world know that another spark has woken up. And please, keep coming back to this channel as we continue to explore the magnificent, unedited truths of Jesus and our divine heritage. I love you all so much, and I am so proud of the courage it takes to look beyond tradition and find the truth. Sleep tonight, knowing you aren't a servant, you aren't a sinner, and you aren't a victim. You are a divine expression of the light, and you are finally truly home. God bless you on this incredible journey.